Because of the nature of control, if we look at it on 100%, 0% control, just for simplicity, which is the master-slave dynamic, there's no inherent conflict. You've got a master who's a primary, who makes all the decisions for everyone below him or her.
But would you still call that polyamory?
Absolutely. If it's a loving relationship. And what is a loving relationship? To me, I define polyamory by loving relationships. If it's so objectified that there's no real love for the person, which it could be, and I would support, if that's what the two of them want to enter, then I don't think it's polyamory at that point. But if you compare this with monoamory, which is you have a singular loving relationship, the answer is yes and no. Let's say that the master has a slave that he is in love with, and the master has another slave that is a pure object that's replaceable, that it's indifferent who the person. I wouldn't necessarily call that a loving relationship, so I'm not so sure it's polyamory. But if you have, let's say, just to flip the genders for a moment, you have a mistress, and she's got 3 submissives, girl, guy, girl, and she has loving relationships with all of them, then it obviously is polyamory. But we're talking about the extremes of power exchange here, which is much simpler. Once you get to anything less than 100% 24/7, well, now you can open it up. There's no reason you can't have 10 dominants and 1 submissive. There's no inherent conflict. You might have a lot of negotiating to do because there's a lot of power being shared, but there's negotiations no matter what combo, even if it's just 2 people.
And it works the same way, the other way around, having 1 dom with multiple submissives. It's actually a little bit easier, that dynamic, than the dynamic that he was just talking about.
Not necessarily.
A little bit.
Well, tell me why one's more difficult.
Well, okay, because you have that one situation that we kept talking about this whole weekend. You've got the one submissive who has 2 doms, and both of those doms want the submissive to do something that, she can't follow both of them at the same time.
Our examples were one dom says, sit down on your knees, the other dom says, stand up. And they say it almost at the same time. Which one does the submissive follow?
That is something that you have to figure out.
Or if you take it to the next step, one dom says, come to my place right now. The other dom says, come to my place right now. And if they don't live together, that's not going to be physically possible.
Now, if you compare that to the other situation of the one dom with many subs, that one dom is the one person who is making decisions, so that one dom can make decisions for 3 of them, and it's not going to be a problem.
Then you can get exponentially more complex if you've got 3 doms sharing 3 subs. And this is where the obvious crossover happens of where polyamory and BDSM are distinct Venn diagram circles with a huge chunk of overlap, potentially. Contrastly, I know lots of BDSM couples that are monogamous, that you have to, everything is high protocol, everything requires, may I hug your submissive? You have to ask that level of permission. And I know lots of polyamory people that don't practice any BDSM and look down on power exchange. They don't want to acknowledge that such a thing is even desirable. One of the fun and potentially painful aspects of BDSM and polyamory and jealousy are the physical manifestations of the BDSM, the bruises, the scars, the marks appearing on your lover that was created by another lover. Sometimes it's easy to not think about the sex that happened the night before, but if there's bruises, it's unavoidable. The moment you see them, you see the thumbprint or you see the mark of a paddle, it's a physical manifestation. And even as experienced as I am, and I don't put myself into that category of, I don't feel jealousy. Because sometimes when I see a mark, it rings in me a little bit. I'll feel it. And I'll be at, I wouldn't say at conflict, I'd say more experiencing simultaneous compersion and jealousy. Polyamory loves to think of itself as more of a compersive atmosphere.
Do we all know what compersion is? Any knows? Okay,
Well,
you might as well.
in the simplest context, jealousy will be the pain caused by the pleasure your partner's experiencing, and compersion being taking joy in the pleasure that your partner is experiencing. And I've felt both simultaneously. I don't think that those two things are a spectrum. I think that they are their own category, and there's times where I'll be feeling zero of either one. And I think Wicked can really relate to that, a level of indifference.
Yeah. I'm very hard to bruise, apparently.
She didn't used to be.
Yeah, when it first started out, it was happening, and I don't know if you guys know this, but a lot of times in the BDSM community, bruising is like a badge of honor.
People will whip out their phones and be like, "Look what I did last night.
Yeah.
Look at her bruises."
Yeah, they'll post pictures of their bruises, and there's lots of comments. Oh, look at the beautiful colors. Oh, how wonderful. So anyway, so it was yay happy I'm bruised sort of thing, and then eventually it just stopped happening, and it wasn't because he was slacking off. He was actually increasing the intensity, and increasing my tolerance level. But somehow it just, I don't know, my body just got used to it, which actually is now a good thing for me, because I am now a professional submissive at a local dungeon in LA, and you are not allowed to work with bruises. They want a clean slate for whenever you are doing a session with a client. And so that's yay for me, because I can do pretty much as many sessions as I want and not have to worry about bruising of any kind.
I think the nature of the question is really important, the idea of competitiveness within a polyamorous dynamic and competitiveness within a BDSM dynamic. There's nothing really ideal about either one of those situations, but it might happen. It does happen. I think what's important to remember there is that the bond you have is unique, that it is the intimacy that the two of you share, and it's almost irrelevant what intimacy is going on outside of that relationship. No matter what she does at work or with another partner, it's really not my business. I really don't care. And if anything, if she's getting money or pleasure out of the situation, depending on whether it's work or play, I want to be happy for her. Beyond even if I am, I want to be. And it's both. There's the envy drives me and inspires me sometimes.
Can you elaborate on that?
Sure. If you have a great BDSM scene with someone, that inspires me to have a great scene with you. And my job is not to be better than that person or anything else. It's more like similarly with sex. If you have great sex with someone and you're raving about that great sex, that's a turn on to me. I'm aroused by your excitement. If I hear that you had 3 orgasms last night, like, let's go for 4. And if we only have 1, so be it. We had great sex. So be it.
You saw that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.